Hi, I'm Kelly from Kelly Jones Jewellery. Today I'm going to show you how to make this moon pendant. I've used square wire and weaving wire, but you can use round wire if you want to. I've put a list in the description below of everything you'll need, everything I've used to make this, including links to my Etsy shop, my Facebook page and my Instagram. My Etsy shop, which is www.kellyjonesjewellery.com, is where I sell all my tutorials from, my written tutorials. So if you fancy having a written tutorial, that's when you've got like loads of pictures and descriptions to follow along at your own pace. You'll find them all on there. I've done quite a few now. To make this pendant, you'll need 0.8mm wire, that's 20 gauge, and you need 4 lengths at 10 inches each, that's 25.5 centimetres, and today I'm using square wire. You can use round wire if you like. I'm using the square because I'm going to add a few twists to this. You twist the wire, you twist the square wire, and it looks quite pretty. So I'm going to use weaving wire is 0.315mm, and that's 28 gauge. I've wound mine onto a bobbin. If you don't have a bobbin, you can just cut lengths as you go. This is a Bobeeze bobbin by Beadsmith. I've got a little crescent moon stone today. This is, imagine if this was circular, it would be 30mm by 25. That's how I've measured it because it's a bit awkward to measure. But you can use any size stone you like. If yours is much bigger or much smaller, just add a few inches to your wire, your base wires, your square wire. Also going to need a jump ring, which I've completely forgotten about. I'm going to have to go and get one, about 8mm outside measurement. Tools, I've got my pliers, round nose pliers, cutters, nylon pliers. If you don't have nylon pliers, don't worry. I just use these for straightening the wires, flattening weaves, like that. I just like to have them handy. I don't put links below for tools any longer, but I will put what they are if you just want to search them and find them for yourself. I'm using Tronex at the minute. I quite like those, I think they last a bit longer. If you find the centre of your wires, it should be about 5 inches. And then put your thumb in the middle. We're going to start just to the left of your thumb there. So we'll start with 3 wraps around that bottom wire. I know whenever you think square wire, you think going to be using half round wire with it as well, but I'm not today. I'm just using square wire and weaving wire. So we do 3 wraps around the bottom wire. I was just making sure my wires are flat, and then we're going to go around the bottom 2, bring the wire up in between those 2, go around the middle 2, the wire up between those 2, over the top and around the top wire. Then we come up between the middle 2 and go around the 3rd wire. Come up between the bottom 2 and go around the 2nd wire. And then come under and around the bottom wire. So on the way up, gone around 2 wires, and then on the way down we've gone around each one individually, and we'll repeat that a few more times. So we're going around 2 on the way up, and then we go around each wire singularly on the way back down. And keep pushing your weave together as you go to keep it nice and tidy. And repeat that weave. So I've kept repeating that weave 6, 7, 8 times, or about a centimetre, a little bit more. And keep pushing your weave together to keep it tidy. And I like to pull on the wire a little before I cut it, just to make that last wrap a bit tighter. Flatten off any sharp bits, sharp ends. And then you want to put a slight bend into this weave, best you can, just a little bend. The bend's going to sit to the back of the moon, so you want it about the same curve as the moon is. Then we're going to separate the wires, two one way, two the other. And make sure you don't lose that bend when you separate the wires. So now I'm going to twist a few wires. If you're using square wire, you can twist square wire and it goes quite pretty looking. If you're not using square, if you're using round, then obviously you leave this bit out. So I'm going to use these nylon pliers just to grip the end of the wire. Just put some hand cream on so I won't slip it, unfortunately. And then we're going to grab the main piece, put a little bit of pressure on, twist it around. It's going to be tricky to show you this, but I'm just twisting this around and around. So you're going to have to take my word for it that that's what I'm doing, and I'll do it and then come back and show you it when it's done. And I'm just turning this, there goes my tape, turning it around and around. You can see it starting to show the twists on there. If you pull on it slightly, keep it nice and straight, it just makes it a bit more of a tidy, even twist. So I've got a nice tight twist on that now. You can see it does look quite nice. And I'm going to do that to the outer two. So I should do it to this one, and then the outer two on the bottom as well. You can see I've done it to the outer ones, the outer wires. So now you need to decide the front and the back to your stone. Put the back of the stone against the weave. It's best to do it now looking at the back so that we can keep that weave central. And hold it against the stone the best you can. I'm going to take these wires and bend them just to the other side to start with. Trying to keep it as central as you can. I need to set up a camera that's further away, so I can show you. When we do bigger movements, it's hard to show you. So I'm trying to keep the weave in the middle, and I'm bending the wires around the stone. And I want them to come up against the stone pretty tight. And I need to have roughly the same amount of gap top and bottom. Otherwise we're going to end up with loads of space at one end and not enough space at the other. It'll all make sense in a minute. So squeezing it nice and tight around the stone. So we'll then weave is pretty central on the back. Because you don't want your weave popping out to one side either. You don't want to see the weave at all. So now what I'm going to do is take these 2 wires to start with. Holding the weave as firmly to the back as you can. We're going to bend these wires over and around. Now I think I've made that look easier than it is. That's actually quite fiddly to do. And then we'll bring the other one over and take your time holding the wire and bending it around. We'll just pull these over a little bit for now. We'll leave those for a minute and we'll focus on these top ones. But yeah, keep fiddling with these wires now until you've got the shape how you want it to be. You want to get this shape with your wires so that when they cross, they all meet each other. But don't bend them anywhere else, leave them sticking out for now. But we want all 4 wires to meet in the middle there. So we're going to do a weave across these 4 where they join just to hold it all together. So pull your wires apart a little bit just to make the weaving a little bit easier. Hopefully these wires won't get in the way too much. So we're going to start with 3 wraps around the bottom wire. I'm going to slide that around. So it sits just at the beginning there. So then I'm going to go around 2 wires. Twice, and you want to push that around too so it goes over the other side there. So I've gone around those 2 wires twice. Then I'm going to come up between the 2 wires. And I'm now going to wrap around the middle 2, the twisted ones. Pulling the wires apart a little so that the weaving wire fits. Go around that twice. Then let your weaving wire come underneath the bottom wire. We're going to go around the whole thing, so we're going to go over the top. I've done quite a few of these. This style moon pendant, if you fancy giving one of the other ones a go. So I'm going around the whole thing twice. Come back up in between the bottom 2. And then I'll go around those middle 2 again. So that's go around the twisted ones twice. And then around the bottom 2. Twice. This will all push together nicely in a minute, you'll see. And then we'll finish with 3 wraps around that bottom wire. I think the most important part of this is just to take it nice and slow. Watch each wrap coming together. Make sure you're positioning everything where you want it to be. Because if you rush it really, you're only going to save yourself a few minutes. If you really rush it, you're going to save yourself half an hour, but you're going to end up with a piece that you're not happy with. Or you might be happy with if you prefer working quickly. I don't. So I'm cutting off the ends of the wire now, and I'm just it's hard to get to that one. Cutting off the ends of the wire and then flattening down any sharp bits that are still sticking out a little bit. So that's all nicely tied together. What we're going to do with the rest of this top part, this one's going to scoop down, this one is going to scoop up and over. These two are going to just go, I'm holding the front in place and just bend it around to the back. So that's all in position. We can leave that end alone. Now we're going to go back to focusing on the other side. So on this side, we're going to try and do the opposite of what we did at the other side. So on this side, we've got a complete loop. Now we're going to have a complete loop using these 2 wires. So bend them over. Try and hold them and bend them around. I think that's hard to do because it's square wire as well. And then take the top 2 and bend those around too to meet it. So all 4 wires meet in the middle. So when you're happy with the shape and all the wires meet in the middle, make a little gap between your wires so you can make it a bit easier for weaving. We're going to start with 3 wraps around this bottom wire, and we're going to do exactly what we did for this one. So as this one points down, this one will point up. So do exactly the same as you did for the other one. And it's a bit fiddly to do, so I'm going to do it without the camera on. You jump back if you want to. So I've done that weave on that one as well. It's ended up upside down because I'm holding it this way and we was holding it the other way for that one. And I can't squeeze it, so I'm just going to press it with my pliers. So easy. So as this one scooped all the way around, this one's going to scoop all the way around. So holding it in place at the front, I'm going to bend that wire around like that. And then on the top, the bare one is going to come down like it did on the other side. And this one scoops around the other way. So now looking at this end, I've got one coming this way and one going this way. I'm going to put a little bit of a weave across those there. So take your weaving wire and we'll wrap 3 times around the bare wire. Pulled these other wires to the back just a little bit. I've just bent them back a little bit just to keep them out of the way. I've pulled these 2 forwards that I'm working on just to make it a little bit easier. So we've got 3 wraps around that top bare wire. So now we want to go 3 wraps around the twisted wire on the other side. And then we take our wire over the opposite wire, which is the bare wire. I'll go 3 times around there. Keep pushing it all down. And then come over to the opposite wire, which is the twisted one, and go 3 times around that. So we're wrapping 3 times, then we're going over the opposite wire. So I won't have to do this for long because I'm already reaching the edge of my stone. You don't want to go past the edge of the stone really. So I'll just do one more. So I'm coming over the twisted wire. And I'm just going to keep adding coils now. Taking my time, making sure that they sit nicely next to the last coil. Keep pushing it together. Until you reach the top. I'm right at the top there. Just see if it'll go along any further. No. I'm just going to pull on that first part of the wire and cut him off. Flatten down any sharp bits. Because this is going to be a little curl, I'm going to cut that off nice and small. This one is also going to be a little curl. I'm not going to cut that off just yet because I don't want to lose my wire. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the back bare wire and I'm going to bend it over the front there. So where this wire now meets this wire, I'm going to join them together. So I've gone underneath that bare wire and I'll go around the both of them. Three times. And then I'm going to add just another couple of wraps to that twisted wire. I've been calling it a coiled wire. It's twisted. And then just push it up there. So I need to cut that weaving wire, flatten down any sharp bits. That's going to be a curl, quite a small one. And this wire that I've wrapped around the front, the bare one, goes around and follows the coiled, the coiled wire, the twisted wire. It's a twisted wire. It's not coiled at all, it's twisted. So they're now sitting together on the back. That's how I want them to be. So we're going to do exactly the same on this end. So I'm just going to change that shape a little bit. I want to do that weave that crosses over with the 3 wraps. I'm going to do that down here now. Start with 3 wraps around this top bare wire. When I say bare wire, I mean not twisted. It's not, I don't know why I'm calling it a bare wire, the not twisted one. So we start with 3 wraps around the not twisted wire, and then we'll go between the 2, wrapping 3 times, going over to the other side until we reach up here, and then keep adding coils till you get to the top. So we'll do what we did here with the weaving wire, with the weave. So I've done that weave when you pass over and you wrap 3 times. I've cut the weaving wire from the beginning, and I've added a few coils till I've got to the top. So now I'm going to take the twisted wire and I'm going to wrap that around the front of the moon. So then take your weaving wire up the back of that wire, and I'm going to wrap around both of the wires to secure them together. I'm only going to wrap twice because I've reached right to the edge of my stone there. And then I'm going to wrap around this, the bottom wire that we're going to cut, because they're both twisted now, aren't they? So the top wire goes around the back like that, and at the front here we cut this weaving wire. Always cut with the flat side of the cutters towards what you're cutting so it gets nice and close. You get a nice flush cut. I don't know if I'm using the right words. So then these wires, we're going to curl this one this way, so we want to cut him off. Nice and short about there. And then this one's going to curl this way, so we want to cut that one about there. Now we've got all our cut wires, we can compare and make sure that they're all roughly the same length as each other. I'm going to take a bit more off the bottom one. This is where bits start flying around the room. Yeah, happy with that. So take your round nose pliers, we'll tidy off these. I'm going to curl them in opposite directions to each other. It's going to be hard to show you with these long wires. Let's get rid of the long wires first. Okay, so here where we've finished, the one we've just done, where the top wire is higher than the others, on the back, holding the front in place, we're going to bend it down so it comes over these 2. So we've got 2 wires together at one end and this coming over the 2 at the bottom. And make sure you've got a bit of a gap on the back there, because we're going to wrap around these 2 wires now. So I'm just putting the pliers in there and twisting it a little bit just to give myself a little gap there. I'm going to cut this, giving myself loads of length. And then using the round nose, I'm gonna bend it. Oh, sun's shining now. Bend it around so it catches through those two wires. And I don't want it to misshape the front. I don't want it to pull the wires together too much. I'm just going to squeeze it now. This one, I'm going to just put a curl in it to finish it off. Now these top two, they're going to make the loop that we're going to attach the jump ring through that I still haven't found yet. I need to go and get a jump ring. So you can weave over them if you like. If you're using just round wire, you can weave over them. But because I've got this twisted one, I'd like to keep them bare. So if you're going to add a weave and then bend your weave around. If you're just using bare wires, you just need to bend it around. So you've got just a nice loop on the top. Can you see that? To add the jump ring to. And take your time and just bend it really slowly and watch it shape so you can get it the shape you want it to be. So I'm just going to add a bit of weaving wire here to tie them together. So I've made a gap in my wires. I'm going to attach 3 wraps to the, I was going to call it a bare wire, to the one that isn't twisted. Either just wrap 3 times around one of those wires. I'm going to position it up into the loop so we can tie them together before they meet those wires there. I'm going to go around both the wires, then I'm going to come up between and go around that single one again. So I've gone 3 times around the one wire and I've gone twice around both. It would be good if that sat above the loop there, because this wire I'm leaving up there now. I'm going to cut this weaving wire because I don't want it on the bobbin. So I've cut it off and I've left a little bit still attached there. I've made a little gap behind the wires. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap around this, because I'm leaving this one alone now up there, the untwisted one. I'll wrap around the twisted one. And then I'm going to take the wire underneath all of those. So I made a gap already and then I popped it underneath. This is just to tie everything down. So I've come around and gone back under it again. Add another couple of wraps. And then I shall go back around. I can't catch the end of the wire. Back through there again. and bring it over the wires, under the twisted wire, and then wrap around the twisted wire again. So I'm going to cut both those ends. I'm going to keep that wire handy because I am going to reattach it just now. I'm just trying to make it all secure, and I'm trying to make it pretty at the same time. So I'm going to curl that one around. I'm going a bit curl crazy with this one. Just a little tiny curl. That'll do. And then this one is going to go around like that. I'm going to take that bit of wire that I've got left that I just cut off, and I'm going to wrap around that wire. Slide it around to where it meets that wire there. Hard to slide the weaving wire across this twisted wire. And then I'm just going to go around one of the wires. Come here. And the twisted wire, so I'm just attaching it there. So I'm going to do that again. I'm going to pop it around there and wrap around those two again. Oops. I hope you could see what I was doing then. I'm just popping it down between those two. So I'm wrapping around these two wires. It's fiddly to do, so I shall do it off the camera. So I'm going to go around it again and then wrap 3 times around this bottom wire. So I did that there, those 2 wraps, added more coils. Add coils until you're in a position to wrap around this side. Now I'm going to wrap around this wire and that untwisted wire a couple of times to secure it on this side, and then I shall finish with 3 wraps around the bottom wire. So it's properly attached in 2 places. It just adds a bit of strength to the pendant if it meets to that middle section at the back there. You don't have to bring it down. You can always finish it off up here and wrap it around these. It just secures it a little more if it meets onto that mid section. And then that's going to be a little curl. Lots of little curls on this one. So now with your pliers, go around and do lots of curls. Do them as slow as you want. You can see it taking shape and you know then how it's going to look. So I've finished off my curls and I've added the jumping to the top. So there's 4 little curls on the front there. And we've got the top curl, the next curl that's for strength, and then we've got this one at the bottom. So I'm off to go and oxidise this now. And thanks for watching. I hope you found this tutorial easy to follow. And I didn't confuse you too much by using all the wrong words. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and I'd love to see your work on Facebook and Instagram if you're on there. Please mention me when you're sharing your work made from my tutorials, Kelly Jones Design. And don't show any images of the back at all, please, because it does give the design away and I want people to come here and watch the videos. Thanks everybody. Bye.